Hey students, it's Ms. Trone. Just wanted to show you a little bit of a PowerPoint I came up with. Today we're going to do this really awesome candle drawing, but I wanted to show you some candles and kind of my vision for, or my inspiration for our art this week. Okay, so this weekend actually over Thanksgiving, I was looking at the candles on my table and I thought it would make a really nice value study just because of the difference between light and dark, particularly when the room was darkened. It even kind of enhanced the look of the candles. So as we're going through these, notice what you see might be a difference between light and dark between them. One really cool thing you notice about the candle when it's close up is the bottom of it is a dark orange, then the top is kind of like a white or yellow. I thought this candlestick photo was sort of interesting. Lots of different candles and a person's face. Candlesticks also come in a lot of different shapes. So today, your candlestick does not have to look exactly like mine. You could do a candelabra or something different. Oh, here is a wooden candle holder. That's very interesting. A little different, has a nice little texture of bark on it. This one is very ornate. Apparently there's a little bit of lace on it, so that's really interesting too. And another thing I thought was kind of cool when I was done, this is actually a candle from my own table. When you blow out the candle, it had this kind of unique gesture line of some smoke going away. And here's like a candlestick. One thing I thought was interesting about the candlesticks is how symmetrical they were. I thought that was kind of interesting too. And then these are the credits of some of the photos I got from Creative Commons, and the rest are mine. So now we're going to go into here. All right, so we're going to start by drawing a, hold up. Okay. So we're going to start by drawing a candlestick holder. Now your candlestick holder could be a lot of different shapes. In fact, we're going to start by talking about that right now. I'm going to show how to do like a simple dish candle holder, but you could come up with all kinds of different candle holders. Let me show you a few ideas I've been working on, okay? So these are some ones, if you remember our milkshake Wayne Thiebaud lesson from earlier in the year and for the 4th and the 5th graders from last year, you probably remember drawing some kind of unusual shapes to make your candle holder. Notice all of these are symmetrical. So there's a few ways you can do it. Now, just remember, if you don't want to do one of these ways, you could do your candlestick holder exactly like mine, and I'll show that in just a minute. But I just want to keep it open for those kids that want to do something different. So I'll show you a few ways to do these if you would prefer to do a candle holder a little bit more like this. So one kind of candle holder you could do, let me refocus this just a minute here. No, not paused. Let me focus this a little bit here. Sorry about that. So one thing we could do as far as a shape of a candle holder, there's a few different ways you could do it. If you want to do more of a candlestick shape, it's symmetrical. You could add as many shapes on as you want to, but you could do a long semicircle, perhaps, with a... So after you've done that semicircle, you could do a rectangle at the top, like a long, thin rectangle. Maybe do 2 lines down from that, and a little oval at the bottom like this. So this could be a candlestick holder. That could be one way to do it. You could even make the shape here a little different if you wanted to. You could make it more curved. Maybe that's something you want to do. Maybe that's something that would be interesting, make it more curved on either side. So that's an option for your candlestick holder. What else could you do? Well, you could make more of a see-through candle holder. Draw you down. You could do an oval at the top. You could do 2 lines down perhaps, another oval down here. So that's one way you can make your candlestick holder. You could even do one that's more curved at the top, that curves in, curves out, curves in, curves out. Oval at the top, and maybe 2 lines down, and another oval at the bottom. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Basically what I'm saying is, if you do not want to do the kind of old-fashioned candle holder I am doing, you can do something else. That's perfectly fine, and you could do writing on it, come up with your own way to do it. I don't want to hamper your creativity if you have your own neat way to make a candle holder. Okay, so now we're moving on, and we are going to draw our candle holder. And I'm kind of just keeping it pretty basic. In fact, I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit so you can see the bottom of my paper. So I'm doing kind of like an old-fashioned candle holder that might have been during, I don't know, a very, very long time ago, hundreds of years ago. One of the ones that has a little holder you hold your finger to on the side. And notice how we have tons of different values in here, dark and light. So about an inch up from the bottom of the paper, I'm going to draw an oval. That's going to be my first step. And by the way, don't draw too dark here, because we're going to have to erase something, a little something there, a little piece of it, to put our candle on it. Okay. So from there, our next step is we are going to draw 2 long lines down to the middle of that oval to form our long, thin candle. Sometimes these long, thin candles are even called tapers. That's a fancy word for them, okay? So probably, if I'm going to kind of judge where this candle is going to be, I'm going to go right to the center. I'm going to go a little bit over and make a dot, and I'm going to go to the right and also, oops, sorry, back to the camera. So if this is my oval, I'm going to find my center, but then I'm going to scoot a little bit to the left and make a dot, and I'm going to scoot about an inch or so to the right and make a dot. From there, what I'm going to do is from those dots, I'm going to draw 2 straight lines that go up, but I want to save a little room because I need room for my flame. So I don't want to go all the way to the top. About within 3 inches of the top is when I'm going to stop. So here we go. Draw it up like that and stop. So that's one of my lines going up. Remember, save that 3 inches of room because we need room for our flame. And then I'm going to scoot over an inch and go to my other dot. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to bring up another vertical line and try to keep it pretty much equidistant to the other one. These are 2 parallel lines going in the same direction. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here and I'm going to erase that line. By the way, if I'm going too fast, please just pause or rewind your video a little bit. Okay, so at the bottom of my 2 pair of lines, I'm going to drop a curved line down like this. So a curved line at the bottom. So drop a curved line at the bottom, just a slight curved line down, and then here at the top too. Because our candle is a long, thin cylinder. That's basically the shape of our candle or our taper. So here at the top, what I'm going to do is I am going to add a curved line up. So my candle now has a cylinder form. And now we're going to work on our flame. I was just so inspired by the dancing flames that I had for my candles on the dining room table that I really thought it'd be kind of fun to do. But first, we have to do the wick. The wick is that little black piece that comes up from the candle that is lit. So right here in the middle, we want to do a little flame up like that. We want to do, I'll actually get it a little bit closer to you. So we want to have a little wick going up, like a little line going up. It can either go up just straight or slightly curved to the side, but you want to create a wick. Okay? Now, to create the flame, there's a few different ways you can do it. If drawing the flame is hard for you, you can just, I'm going to pretend this is my candle. So there's 2 different ways we can draw the flame, and if you need to practice on another piece of paper, you can. It could be an oval, just an oval like that. That's one way to make the candle flame, is just an oval. But here's another way to make the flame. So if you need to practice on another piece of paper before actually making your flame, that's okay. So here's my wick. What I'm going to do is right at the bottom of the wick, I'm going to bring a curved line to a point. So I'm bringing a curved line to a point. So I'm curving it here and then straightening it out. So that's one side of the flame. And I can do the same thing on the other side. I'm curving it and bringing it to a point. That's one way to do it. Now, another way to do it is to do a really long, a very tall oval, or a very tall, kind of like a teardrop or a raindrop shaped oval. What I noticed really observing my candles, and by the way, observing is a really, if you want to get good at art, drawing observationally or looking at things really carefully and then trying to draw them is pretty important. What I noticed was when there was no wind blowing, the taper got really long and straight, like this, very, very tall. But when the breeze was blowing or when somebody walked by the table, the candle kind of flickered, or maybe it even, kind of would go to one side. It's kind of interesting phenomena to pay attention to, okay? So anyways, that's what we got going on. Lots of different kind of candles you can do. I'm going to do, you could do the oval one, but I'm going to curve it to a point and curve it to a point. Okay, so here we go. I'm curving it to a point like that on one side, and I'm going to curve it to a point on the other side. So I have a nice big flame. And remember, if you can't do a curve to a point and a curve to a point, you can just do an oval. Or here's another way to make a curve to a point. If here's your candle, you can start by drawing a U first, like the letter U. And then when you're done with that, just point it and point it. So it's kind of like a U with an upside down V on top of it. So there's lots of different ways you can make your candle. So here I am back here, And now I'm going to move on to the base of my candle holder. Okay? Oh, by the way, in a little bit, I'm going to be using an orange and a yellow colored pencil to give the candle a flame and a color. If you want to do that, you can. Or not. You could also just use a pencil, but this might make your composition look a little bit more interesting. So, and it's high contrast with the gray of the pencil. So you could do this with a yellow crayon or an orange crayon or a yellow colored pencil and an orange colored pencil. Okay, so here we are over here. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this little line here to make it look like the candle is sitting inside the holder, like it has these little edges that are coming up. So what I'm going to do over here, starting about halfway down, I'm going to do a little curved line that follows my other line around. So it's basically like a parallel line on half of a candle holder. And you know what? You know what they say, draw light till you have it right. So I'm just going to fix it up now. Okay, so that's like, if I'm looking inside the candle holder, that's like the back little edge of it. Okay, and then over here what I'm going to do is I am going to, on either side, going to draw a little vertical line down on either side. So this is kind of like the side of the container. So if you can see, I'm drawing a little vertical line down here and a little vertical line down here. And from here to here, this is going to be like the outside edge of my candle holder. So from those two little vertical lines, I'm just going to match them with my top line. In fact, let me do this a little darker so you can see it. So I'm just kind of outlining this line I already made from the oval. But now I'm keeping it parallel to this line. So I'm just going to follow it around. So now I have this little kind of dish that the candle is sitting in. So once again, just doing a little line around there. Now, the handle is a little circle. You can offset the circle by moving it a little bit up higher, or you can do it right off to the side. I got inspiration from this from this old candle holder I had that belonged to my grandma. And so as you can see, there's a little place there to put your finger in to hold the candle. But anyways, basically what you're going to do is over here to the side, we're going to make a big circle. I think I'm going to actually do mine up a little higher, maybe connected to the top of that line, because generally they're up a little higher, it seems. Or actually, maybe this is more parallel. I guess it's kind of more of a personal choice on what you do for your holder. But I am going to, right here, draw a circle that a finger could be latched through to hold it. So it's just kind of like a holder. So once I got that circle, I'm going to go ahead and do a smaller circle inside. Now remember, guys, you don't have to do your candle holder like this. Remember, I showed you all those other options. You don't have to do yours like this. You could do your own shape for a candle holder. If you've got some creativity, you could do your own shape. It doesn't have to be like mine. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, because we don't want our candle floating in space, about half an inch above the oval, I'm going to do a horizontal line. That's going to be the back of the table. Okay. So now we can go in and work on our value, adding some light and some dark and some middle values. So what I was noticing when I was working on my candle is the part right around here at the bottom tends to be a darker orange, or an orange. So on your candle, what you can do is down here toward the bottom, toward the wick, that's that little piece of string, you could add a little bit of orange, okay? You can also add a little blue. If you've ever looked at a flame, sometimes right at the bottom there's some blue, and I think that's because that must be the hottest part of the candle, that's why it becomes blue. And from there, I'm going to add some yellow up like this for the candle. In fact, I could even go in here and blend a little bit if I wanted to. Okay. So that's that part, just kind of color in a little bit orange, or you can even make it more oval-like if you want to, but do that, and then some yellow at the top. Now, if you are just working with pencil, you could leave it plain or have it go from gray to white, depending on what you have. Okay? So, in the photos I was examining of the candles, the lightest part of the candle was this little oval right here, right underneath the flame. And so I'm going to color that in yellow so it really shows up. Just like that. And there's also kind of an interesting phenomena. So, and by the way, if you don't have colored pencil, you can just leave that spot there white, okay? If you don't have a colored pencil, just leave it white. And if you're in a darkened room, what's kind of neat about these candles is you'll notice that at the top of the candle goes from light to dark. So it goes from very light to very dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slowly make a value change. If I'm working with colored pencil, I'm going to keep just about maybe the top inch or so, maybe inch to 2 inches of the candle is going to be this very light yellow color. And then I'm just going to come in very, very lightly. Remember we learned, we've been talking about value a while, and the way we can add value is to just a light value, to go to light from dark. You start just barely pressing, and as you get darker and darker to black, you just press your candle harder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken it as I go down a little bit, all the way down. And in fact, you know, I could, if I wanted to, actually I'll show you this on the gray one, I could use more of a curved shape of shading. Okay, so that's kind of looking neat. It's transitioning from the yellow down to the darker gray. So I could just use a straight pencil down like that. Now, if I'm working on the candle that's just in pencil, I could actually use a curved line going side to side more like this too, if I want to kind of take into account more of the form of the three-dimensionality of the candle. So I could darken it down to the bottom and lighten it as we go up, like that. and maybe even make it a little more gradual up here so it looks more natural, and then just darken the value toward the bottom. Okay, so you can change the value either with the pencil vertically or horizontal, or even with a slight curve to it. Maybe that would make it look very lively. All right, so now moving on to the flame. Another interesting phenomena when I was looking at the candle is I noticed that in a dark room right next to the candle is very bright and white, and as it goes further and further down it gets darker. So I thought using some rounded, curved, kind of almost circulating around the candle would be something really cool to do. And you know what, I just realized something. I'm going to turn off this other light. Hopefully, maybe that'll help with the view a little bit here. Oh, that's actually a lot better. I should have been doing that from the beginning. Sorry, there was a shadow. So you can either do this with a pencil or with a colored pencil. But if I'm starting with a colored pencil, I'm going to kind of make a rounded circular shape that goes right around the flame. And then from there, I'm going to kind of darken it. So I'm going to make it a little bit more vibrant as it comes out. And I'm then going to transition it to an orange. So I'm going to transition it to an orange. So I'm just kind of bringing it around and transitioning it to that orange color and just making it look like it's glowing a little bit. I might even bring this yellow a little bit more in. Now, if you're not using the colored pencil, and I'll come back to this in a second. If you're not using the colored pencil, and if you're just using pencil, just remember, you're going to go from light to dark just with the pencil if you don't have the yellow or the orange. But if you do have the yellow or the orange, it really makes it look cool. So now I'm going to overlap a little bit of the pencil, the regular gray pencil, over the orange. So now I'm transitioning it to the gray. It's so funny, we use the same technique when we were working on the owl using the orange and the yellow. But I think it just looks really cool, and these sort of gestural marks make it look as if it's glowing, but as you get further down, just darken it in a little bit more each time. Just keep on making it a little bit darker till you get down to the table. Once you get down to the table, that's where your curved lines can end. Okay, so the glow from the light is now going to hit the table, and there should be a pool of light at the bottom of the table. Now, there's we'll do that first. So we've got two ways of doing that. Okay, so if this is my candle holder, this is not a very good example, but if I'm working just with the pencil, I am going to have it lightest right around the candle holder and darker as it goes out. So I'm just going to kind of have it very light around the candle holder, but darker toward the edges. So just a value change. Okay, so that's what it's going to be. So now we're going to add some, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to actually use a little yellow and an orange down here at the bottom to show that right around the candle holder, I'm going to do a little yellow, and then I'm going to transition. Sorry, maybe you can't see that very well, but I've got a little yellow right here, so we're making a pool of light. What a great word, a pool of light. So I've got some yellow here, and I'm going to transition that to a little bit of orange next to that. And then from there, just like before, I'm going to move into my gray. So it looks as if there's a pool of light hitting the table. And I'm just going to go in there with the gray to darken it in, like that. Okay? There you go. So, last thing we're going to do is add a little bit of form to the candle holder. And it's going to be the same if you're just working with pencil as opposed to working with a colored pencil. What I'm going to do here is I am going to add some vertical lines in that little area we made to kind of like emphasize the fact that this is kind of like a edge. I'm going to go there and do that, and then also on the outside, I'm going to do the same thing. So just some vertical, little vertical strikes down. And if you don't want to do it that way, you can do it a different way, but just little vertical strikes down. Okay, so on to the handle. By the way, I might even, make it a little more elegant. I could even add a little line here connecting that curved part to the curved circle to the edge. So if you want to add like a little line here, let me see if I can do it over here so you can see, but a little kind of curved line here from here to the dish, that could be kind of interesting too, just to give it another element. It's up to you though, your choice. Okay, so now I'm going to shade around the finger hold. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just very lightly around the circle, I'm just adding a little bit of shading here to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Just kind of going in very, very gently like that around the outside, as you can see. So I'm just kind of smudging or just kind of adding a little bit of value right around the edge, and then also around the inner circle too. Okay, so that's just a little bit of value change to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Now, last but not least, if I want to keep up with that whole pool of light idea, I could color in the inside of the candle holder yellow. So it looks as if, light is shining down there. That's an option. You don't have to do that. In fact, you could even add a little yellow. If you were to color in this side, you could even add a little yellow to this side, because that would also be catching the light. And so you could color in that yellow. You could also color in the handle. At least top of the handle could be yellow, or it all could be yellow. It's really up to you. This could be kind of like a clear glass that maybe is reflecting or enhancing the light from the candle. So that's up to you if you want to do that. But anyways, so at this stage, you should have a beautiful candle. And I hope you enjoyed learning how to do the candle with our various values. Once again, if you had some trouble, just rewind it. And even I'm noticing here, I kind of want to add a few more shadows to it. I feel like I want to add a little more gray here. Sometimes as you do your art, look at it and evaluate it and change it if you want to. You know, you can do that if you need to. Actually, I think that looks a little bit better with a little bit of more gray mixed into it. But that's that's your choice, what you think. But just remember, working on the candle, and you can make any sort of candle holder you want. It doesn't have to look like mine. And please, when you're done with your art, please email me a video of your art. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.